We're back with another video. Today's mission is an attempt to fix the Supercharged E92 M3. I ordered a belt off of ESS Tuning and that has already arrived. I have my other parts kind of like rolled up in this little rag. I did take the tensioner pulley off and the idler pulley for the supercharger. I already took those off just to get the part numbers. I didn't record that part, but I did end up finding that the supercharger idler pulley, it is completely, I guess it blew up, or it just has like metal shard that's stopping it from spinning, so it completely seized and locked up. It's like an older style ball bearing pulley, and I guess it just literally exploded on itself and it's stopping itself from spinning. So I was able to get the bearing out of that, pull it apart, and now we're going to the bearing store right now to hopefully get a replacement bearing. I ordered whatever I could find the replacement part for. I just ordered one on Amazon because everything else was saying that it would take multiple days to get here. We have one on Amazon that should be here tomorrow, worst case scenario, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and check with BMW dealership and see if I can get the actual tensioner pulley from them. I was already checking, and AutoZone, Napa, Advanced Auto, all those places, they don't sell the actual replacement part, and anything they do, it's not in stock, it has to be shipped. Same thing from basically FCP, everything was saying that it'll take 3 to 5 days to ship. I don't wanna wait 3 to 5 days, I'm trying to get it fixed this weekend, today or tomorrow. So I'm gonna check the BMW dealership to be safe, and that's where we're off to today. Vegas, don't know what's going on in the rain. Oh my God. We made a quick little pit stop at BMW Only in Vegas. We have a airbag code on for when we did the interior swap. The seat needs to be programmed to the car apparently. It says like driver profile or something. So we get a driver restraint warning, even though there's really nothing wrong. But it is telling me that there is something wrong with the airbag. I want to clear the light. It is annoying, and it does not show you your drive modes right there. So I came to BMW Only. This place is ass. Honestly, if you're in Vegas, don't bring it here. I've had bad luck with them before, and now they say they don't have anybody that can do this, and they're not taking in, or they don't want to take in new work. They just said, oh, we're too busy. Basically, we want to get cars out. It's the next day. We're back in front of the E92 M3. Still don't have all the parts required, but stuff is starting to get delivered. So I ordered 2 tensioners off of Amazon. I found basically a part number on this one, and it is OEM, but they sell a replacement that's not OEM, that's not the right part number, but it works. And as you can see, I have it right here, and it is so slightly different, but it's still completely the same. If you look at this one, the part number, I believe on the actual bearing is like 1 or 2 digits off, because this one says it is a 289. And then if you come to the back of this one, it is a 272. But they're basically exactly the same. If you look at them, there's really nothing to tell you that they're different. This one is completely warped and disgusted, and it doesn't, since we cut it, it's not exactly the same size anymore, so that's where you're seeing a little bit of a difference. But other than that, it's exactly the same thing. The only difference is that this is intended for either a different car or a different purpose because of the bolt that they give you. It comes like this and has a backing plate. Mine just uses this, and that's it. Holds it in, and that's it. The other little ring that they use on the backing plate, this right here, is actually on the tensioner in the car, so it will be the same and it will function completely the same. So we have a replacement. I did order this one thinking that you could pull it off, but happens to be completely the wrong size anyway, so doesn't really matter. I'll either return that or keep that as extra. This is the supercharger belt that ESS supplies themselves, so I heard a lot of good thing about Gates belts, and we do have size for comparison. I have one more Amazon order coming with the bearing, which is this. This is what completely destroyed. If you see, it basically grenaded itself right there, and you can see all the way through on the other side. It's just completely mangled, and this bearing, if you can see, it no longer spins, and it is completely seized. And this pulley has taken sort of a beating and is very rough in the first place. There's already stuff on it, and then pressing out, kind of hitting it. Did mark up the sides, but I do plan on replacing this at some point. I just want to get this car running and make sure it's worth investing more money into before I just start buying the expensive parts. So we're going to get it fixed and running before I start going crazy. But we have the tensioner now, we have a belt. We're just waiting for this bearing to get delivered. And on FCP, I placed an order because it's missing an M3 badge on the trunk. So I ordered a genuine M3 badge, and I also ordered, I believe, a Porsche belt that people say that worked phenomenal, and it was a couple millimeters shorter than the supplied belt. So in case your belt is, you know, too much slack, or it's not getting tight enough, or you're having belt slipping, they have one that's a couple millimeters shorter that works perfectly from a Porsche, and that's on FCP. So I have the badge and another belt coming, and then the bearing will be here tomorrow, and we can reassemble the actual pulley or the idler tensioner for the supercharger. It just literally slips in the bearing, slips in this little piece right here, locks it together, and this is the longer bolt. Other than that, this is for the tensioner, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on now and possibly take off the AC belt and route the normal belt and put everything back, so that way when my bearing gets here, I could just slap that together and everything is good. The tensioner pulley is on now. Kind of hard to see down here, but it is on, it is tight. And of course, now I have come across another problem. I was reaching down there to slip it on, and I felt something dripping on my hand. Obviously, there's not supposed to be anything wet in here. So if you can see, let me get a good angle. Let me see if you can see this. Okay, so let me get it to focus. So if you look right here, when it's still, there's not a problem, but when I lift up on the hose, it starts dumping out. So I don't know if it's the hose is bad or if it's just not clipped on properly, and I'm praying that it's not actually the metal piping that is bad. I hope that this isn't dented or there's something preventing it from sealing. So yep, I just quickly ordered another one of these lines off of eBay because OEM's like $100. And again, I haven't even started this car really and let it ran. So I don't want to keep dumping a bunch of money in here. So let's get this thing running, get this thing good. And then if we need to revisit, I'd rather go back and spend money knowing this car is good. So damn, another pain in the ass. So let's see, hopefully it's just this line, you know, it's old, brittle. Maybe it's warped a little bit, it's just not seating correctly. Or possibly when the belt snapped, since obviously the belt is running right here compared to this line, it might have slapped it a few times and broke something on the bottom side that I can't see. I don't want to take the line off and drain all the coolant and dump it. I don't have coolant to put back in it, and I'd rather not have to re-bleed the system trying to get this thing running. I think it shouldn't dump coolant out under pressure. I don't see why, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen anything wet in here before, so I don't think it's going to dump coolant out under pressure. I just think that it's the way that if you lift it up, it just doesn't seal properly. So hopefully the line's just old. It was like $50 to get the line. Should be here between Wednesday and Monday. It's currently Saturday. Quick intermission, we gotta go pick up a part. We are down the rabbit hole right now. If you saw, we went and picked up an Alcantara shift boot. It does need to be cleaned up a little bit more. And we have a M Performance shift knob. Same thing, Alcantara needs to be cleaned up a little bit more. But those should both be OEM. And down here, this is where it's not OEM. We have a Turner short shifter, and it is the short shifter kit. So luckily, this lever is replaceable because mine is a little more mangled up. And I just mangled it a little more because when the shift knob for the M Performance one, it was literally sitting down here so small that it was literally almost level with the actual trim, and that's terrible. You literally couldn't even shift without hitting your fingers onto the trim plate. So I had to pull this trim plate off. I loosened up both these bolts and completely took them out. The first one wasn't even tight, so someone was already messing with it, or the install was wrong. These down here were a little wiggly. This is still needs to do some bushings in here, even though the whole kit's here. But on top of this, your hand would be literally like down here. Now it's up here, it's not the greatest, but it's better. It's still not great, and I think this might even be directioned wrong. That's exactly what I thought. This shift knob, it's a little hard to focus with the flash, but this shift knob, if you look inside, the actual clip is right here. That's sideways. So if you flip it completely, it's sideways. So here's the way the pattern should be. And if you rotate it, it's going parallel with the car like this. And this is not. So it's supposed to be this way and the shifter is this way. So who the fuck worked on this car? I don't know. Third person perspective, this car is fucking junk. And yeah, I'm starting to realize that more and more and more. Shift knob is not the right way, and that is obviously very bothering. So I'm gonna put it like this so I could see. I don't know what to do. Obviously that has to be taken off and rotated, but other than that, we're just gonna pretend to leave it like this and hope it's good. It still stays somewhat. It doesn't wiggle. Well, I guess it does, but it doesn't wiggle too crazy. And as far as the shift boots, this is just a normal E92 one, so it is in the more square pattern. Obviously that doesn't fit right here, so I'm debating on taking out the frame and swapping it over to this, but then I think there would be too much excess fabric on this. I don't think it would work good, and I don't want to destroy this because I think it is OEM. So for right now, this one is, the shift knob is destroyed. If you look in, I guess it's kind of still there. It's very mangled. So actually, I don't think I'm gonna cut this one because I think I can resell this. I guess I'm gonna clean this one up and sell this one, get some money back, but that's probably gonna go for sale again too. But at least we have a good shift knob. We just need to get a shift boot. At least we could get one thing done today. There we go. Brand new. Sheesh. We are complete. Damn. Project car done. Okay. I have a sort of solution. I couldn't stop thinking about this and wondering if it was error on my end, error on install, or what it was. So I'm not sure if this is actually how it's supposed to be, but this shifter is obviously notched with the actual shift lever for the car. So they're both notched, but they're notched kind of the opposite. So like you guys saw, it was sitting sideways and it was notched so that it would go down sideways and stay there. But there was also a notch in the shift lever that would go down straight. There was a tiniest little point where you could turn it and then push it down more. And that's exactly what I did. It did not want to go that way. It didn't like going that way, but it is there. I did have to use some methods I would prefer not to do, but it is basically in place. And as you can see, now we are sitting straight and the shift knobs will actually go straight now. So now when we put this on, when it actually gets into place, we are sitting straight. So now this will work and the shift knob will be straight. So we kind of got it in order. The shifter is pretty mangled, but honestly, I don't see another way of doing it unless there's something wrong with it. I don't want to take this out if it is actually right. The thing, what I'm thinking is that these usually are directional and they're not just a straight rod or a straight lever. So I don't think this could actually be installed wrong. I just don't know what's going on with this. Maybe I'm just tripping and this is how it's actually supposed to be. Just kind of was a pain in the ass to get it to seat properly. But we are here now and I'm going to get these bolts in and tighten them down. And we should have a straight shift knob. It is extremely dirty, but it is actually straight. So this shift knob has seen better days, so it doesn't completely lock into place. It does twist when you give it enough pressure, but it's here for now. It needs one of the lock rings or one of the bushings replaced. So it does wiggle a little bit in gear and moves up and down quite a bit. It's quite common for an older car, for an older manual car, for it to have a lot of play. They do sell the kits just complete, so it won't be the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal. It is just something that needs to be replaced and maintained, but at least we got one problem solved. At least we have a shifter and something that actually stays on the car. And as you can see, it does wiggle enough if you give it enough pressure, but we do have the replacement. So it's good enough for now, and I'll clean it up a little bit and see if we can make it a little nicer. We're back. Now it is Sunday and we finally have a real sort of update. So finally my bearing is here, and as you can see, it comes in a pack of 2. It was super inexpensive and this is the difference. So this is the bearing that came from the kit that is destroyed, and this is the new one. So obviously a much better bearing, a much better condition. And if you look, they're the exact same size. They even fit, or it even fits the actual centerpiece. So this should in theory completely work as far as the car goes. Hey, do you like my writing? That's nice. So for here we have a real update. Let me switch over to flash. I have the aux fan out. Sorry, my camera doesn't like to focus in this mode, but I have routed the supercharger belt and put this on. Basically, the only thing it's not hooked up to is this pulley. So I'm gonna slap that pulley on, loosen up that tensioner and get this thing strapped on. I was able to take off the auxiliary or the accessory belt and slip that off to slide the supercharger belt and main drive belt only over that, and then put this back on. So you do have to take off the water pump pulley, so that's why it says tighten it. I was able to get that off with a little bit of a different method because my belt was already off, so there was no way to put tension on the pulley. So I ended up using the impact on very low setting and just used it to get the initial bite off of the bolt, and then was doing that by hand and then put them back by hand. Once the belt is tight, I could go ahead and actually tighten those back up. But same thing, this is the pipe that is leaking. I have one on the way, should be here in a few days. And the thing that is very annoying is now realizing last night that when you put this belt on, I hope I'm not, being dumb here, but there's no way to put the main drive belt on with a supercharger without disconnecting this coolant hose. So I basically pinched it as hard as I could, clipped it off as fast as I could, lifted up so none of the reservoir coolant got out, but all the coolant that was in this pipe was starting to leak out. So I did that as fast as I could and then put it back on. So I don't believe we lost that much coolant, but I want to keep an eye on the reservoir and bleeding procedure if we do get this car running. But I gotta go to work very soon, so I'm gonna switch over and turn off the camera, and I'm gonna see if I can assemble this, put it back on, and see if this is our fix. All it took was just a couple tools, 2 parts, and about 45 minutes worth of time. Yeah, right. I'm still not convinced that this thing is fully ready for a drive. I've been sitting here monitoring the belt. I haven't seen anything that is very off-putting. All the ribs look perfect. I'm just completely paranoid because the gold idler pulley is the one that we replaced with the bushing, and that bushing was destroyed. And I don't have a bearing press, which now I definitely want to invest in one of those. But when I pressed in the bearing, there seemed to be a very, very, very slight, like a sliver off, where it seemed to be a tiny bit misbalanced. And I sat here monitoring that and seeing if it was wobbling, and indeed it wobbles the such slightest that you really wouldn't notice unless you're looking for it. But it's bothering me, and I'm convinced that this side is a little too close to the bracket versus this side, which seems to give it a little bit of a bigger gap. I'll go in with flash in a second and show you those gaps, but I'm just paranoid that this thing isn't gonna be aligned, and I'm afraid that under load at 6,000 or 7,000 RPM, that there's gonna be too much slack, or there's gonna be too much rotation with that pulley, and it's gonna throw it off. So obviously sitting here idling, even revving it, you're just bouncing up. The revs is just gonna go fast, and then the belt's gonna go back slow. So sitting there at 7,000 RPM while I'm driving on a wide open pull, I feel like there's gonna be too much play in that thing. But the car is running, it is alive. The exhaust sounds amazing. I don't know about the motor, but the exhaust sounds absolutely amazing. I'm not hearing any strange noises. I've been listening, put my ear to the valve covers. It seems to be completely normal. I've been monitoring coolant temperature and coolant level. Everything seems to be okay, but I definitely still want to get this thing checked out by one of my friends that are more, known to these platforms, or, just more mechanical knowledge than me. So let me show you those gaps and let's see what we're talking about. Coming in, here are the slight gaps. So you can see that this one right here only has about that much, versus if you come down to the bottom, it has a little bit more. It also is the way that it's positioned on the bracket. And you can see from these pulleys that right here, there is a slightly larger gap than on that one. Seems like this pulley is definitely pulling, or this tensioner is pulling the belt a little more closer to the bracket versus this one, which is keeping it far enough away. But another thing too is that I think it was my fault. One of the water pump bolts stripped, but they're such tiny little bolts, not the end of the world. The pulley is still staying tight. There's no wiggle room. 3 of them are tight. Super easy fix, but we get a bolt for that. But other than that, the accessory belt seems to be completely normal. No issues with that after putting it back on. I can't tell if it's starting to slightly fray, the slightest bit. There's no chunks missing. There's no wire showing. There's no cords coming out. The ribs look absolutely amazing. There's nothing there, but I just think I'm completely paranoid. I do want to see if I can get this bearing replaced again, because the kit did come with 2. So possibly just for the biggest safety feature, I might take this pulley back off, bring it to my friend's shop with a bearing press, and have him either fix this one or just completely use the secondary bearing again and get that one swapped out, just so we have peace of mind. I do want to take it for a drive, but I'm terrified of getting stranded. So I think this is going to be it for this video. I don't know how much footage this is. I know it's kind of running around. I know I didn't kind of show me working on it too much. This weekend has been taking way too long, and I got to go to work in 2 hours, and I'm gonna work tonight. So we're gonna see. This is probably it for today. I do want to take this thing for a drive. It sounds absolutely amazing. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see on that. This car is growing on me because I just want this thing to work, and I love these cars. They sound absolutely insane, but I know a lot of you in the comments are hating on me and hating this car. So we'll see how far we get with this thing. If not, this thing will be for sale and possibly or traded if the opportunity comes up. So I'm gonna get this thing dialed in, hopefully as much as I can, and then it might be leaving, or I might just post it up for sale and see if I get any offers and just wait until somebody wants to buy this thing. So I think that's it for this video. I really appreciate you guys staying tuned. Just bear with me. I know this is not you guys' favorite car, but at least it is running now and drivable, hopefully. So we will take this on a drive in the next video. If not, fix that pulley once again, and I'll show you more of the process. I was just rushing, and I was a little bit nervous doing this. I wanted to make sure everything is good. I don't want to snap one of these belts because they're a pain in the ass to change and harder to get. So we have our FCP Euro, which will give us a secondary belt and our M3 badge, but we have our extra parts laying here, and we shouldn't need anything more. Hopefully this is just good. I was a little bit nervous. It started smoking a tiny bit, but then also you have to disconnect that coolant hose, and it dropped some coolant on one of the idle tensioners, and it dropped coolant on the belt. So I think it was just smoking off a little bit of coolant. So I appreciate you guys for staying tuned with me. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your comments down below. Let me know if this car is growing on you, or let me know if I'm just getting dumber. But I appreciate you guys. This is it for this one. We'll be back hopefully soon with the first drive and hopefully some more updates on this car. So later, guys. I appreciate you. Stay tuned for the next one.